June Again is an Australian drama comedy from 2020. I wanted to watch this because Katrina Ritalik is in it, and she is an actress who is in a show called Comedy Inc., which I've been watching. It's an old Australian sketch comedy show that I really like. So I've been trying to find some of the actors and actresses from that show in other things, and that led me to June Again, which I went in blind. I really didn't know anything about the movie except for that she was in it. Katrina Ritalik plays actually a very small part. She's only in the movie for about the first 10 minutes. What the movie is about is a woman named June who is a dementia patient in assisted care. June is played by Noni Hazelhurst. One day, June wakes up and just is completely lucid, as if the dementia had never happened. She doesn't realize how long she's been in assisted care, so escapes and reunites with her family, who she finds is not the family that she quite remembers. Things have kind of gone astray in the lives of her children as well as the family business. And with what limited time she has in this lucid state, she tries to round them together and fix things, basically. This movie is a great exploration of traditional values coming up against modernity, all the way down to a pair of iPad kids with the 1,000-yard stare who can't even muster up a word to June, their grandmother. This film shows the value of family, and although it's not so much a commentary on what we do to elderly people, there's a subtext that will keep you thinking that there must be a better way. I thought this movie was great. I gave it 5 stars. I'm so glad I watched it. I thought it was very funny and also very moving, and the ending really turned on the waterworks for me. I highly recommend this to anybody who can access it. I watched it on Canopy, but be warned, if you have a family member who's been in this situation, if you've experienced this, it's probably going to hit you even harder than it hit me. MacGruber from 2010 is an absurd comedy based on an SNL sketch, which is based on an 80s TV show called MacGyver. I haven't watched it in years, but it's a terrible show about a guy who can just make inventions out of anything. The whole cliche was, oh, do you have a paper clip and a piece of bubble gum? And he makes a bomb out of it. That was like the joke back in the day about that show. And MacGruber parodies this, the movie does, in a way that he fails upward throughout the whole movie. Ryan Felipe's character seems to be the only person who really knows what's going on. It's never explained why MacGruber is in the positions of a successful person when all he does is screw things up. And that's where a lot of the comedy comes from. Also, it parodies and lampoons 80s action movies to great effect. This movie isn't perfect, but it had me laughing a lot. One of the things I didn't like about it leans a little bit too hard on the vulgar stuff, the, X-rated potty humor. Some of that is fine, but it really started to get to be a lot. I think Will Forte was really funny in this as MacGruber. Kristen Wiig is awesome in it, and you have Val Kilmer as the villain in the movie. So if after Val Kilmer's death a few years ago, you're still looking for things to watch him in and you haven't seen MacGruber, it's a pretty good comedic performance from him. Also, the soundtrack is good. It's filled with 80s music. Some of it's good, some of it's corny good, so bad it's good, but it's all really fitting for this 80s cliche action hero in the modern world. If you're down for a movie that leans into stupidity, I recommend MacGruber. Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes is a 2010 Japanese sci-fi time loop movie about a cafe owner who lives in an apartment above his cafe, and one night he closes shop, goes upstairs, and a message from himself comes through a monitor that he has sitting next to his bed. The message says, "I'm you from 2 minutes in the future. I'm in the cafe. The monitors are connected," and it's a 2-minute time loop. So he goes downstairs into the cafe and sees into his bedroom, and the loop starts. This movie is one of those brain benders where you may not want to try to necessarily follow the loops as they go on. It's only an hour and 10 minutes. I think it pays to just go along with the ride, and The characters in this movie make everything really fun. They're excited. They're trying to figure things out. My favorite character was Ozawa, played by Yoshifumi Sakai. He's kind of the nerdy friend of the group who starts to figure things out, and he gets the idea, well, we only have a 2-minute loop. What if we take the monitor from upstairs, bring it downstairs, and face the monitors together, and then the loop gets deeper and deeper, and it's this onion that starts forming. And then towards the end, things get a little bit wackier than I think they needed to, but they needed a way to kind of tie it up and break the loop, so to speak. So what they ended up doing was just fine. I think for a little quick sci-fi thriller, it's not a thriller in an action sense, but it's very thrilling and exciting to watch them go through these loops and try and figure out what's going on. So though it will make your head spin if you think too hard about it, this is definitely a fun one that you should check out if you have access to it. Again, I saw this one on Canopy. Matangi Maya, MIA, is a 2018 documentary about the singer, rapper, pop star MIA, who I've been a fan of for a long time. I actually acquired this CD of her album Maya from 2010, and I've been kind of obsessed with it. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. I actually never owned a physical copy, but I've been building my CD collection, so I wanted a physical copy of this masterpiece of an album. It's way ahead of its time. If you've never heard it, I definitely recommend checking it out, especially if you like the noisy kind of pop. If you're a fan of Charlie XCX, for example, and that like PC music stuff, if you haven't heard this, you would thoroughly enjoy it. So since I've been high on this album lately, I wanted to check out this documentary. I know a little bit about MIA, but not a ton, and this film goes more into her personal history and her life's journey than it does her music, which to an extent was a little disappointing, but it's very interesting watching her come up from Sri Lanka, a war-torn civil war in Sri Lanka. Her father was the founder and leader of one of the sides of the war. I don't want to get too much into the political stuff here, but all that stuff was interesting to see via home movies and archival footage and stuff like that. And then it was interesting watching her kind of rise up through the music industry. And there were a lot of things I wasn't really aware of, like how she became friends with Justine Frischmann. And I think they kind of gloss over that in the movie a little bit. She just says, oh, I saw Elastica in concert and went backstage and became friends with Justine Frischmann. I feel like there's got to be more to the story there. But again, there's a lot of cool footage of the two of them, and the movie also jumps back and forth in time from Sri Lanka to the UK. We go from 2001 to 2010, and there's even a kind of long section about how she flipped the bird on the Super Bowl, if anybody can remember that, when she was performing with Madonna. That was a big controversy. It's covered very thoroughly in this movie, and looking back on that, it seems like kind of a quaint controversy at this point. I enjoyed this, and I look at MIA kind of the same way I look at Roger Waters, who's someone who I respect immensely and I think is one of the greatest songwriters of all time. But man, he has some wacky opinions politically. Some I agree with emphatically, and many I disagree with emphatically. And I found myself viewing MIA the same way while watching this movie. Although she did come off as just a cool, chill person who you would want to hang out with. And I definitely want to add more of her albums to my physical CD collection. The Seventh Curse from 1986 is a action, comedy, horror, fantasy directed by Lam Nai Choi. This is the third Lam Nai Choi movie I've seen. I still haven't seen Riki-Oh, but I've seen The Cat and The Ghost Snatchers, and I adore both of those movies. This movie has an all-star Hong Kong cast starring Chin Soo-ho and Maggie Cheung in the leads. It also has Chow Yun-fat. It even has a cameo from Joyce Cadenzi at the end. And where do I begin with the plot? So basically the movie opens with a hostage situation where Chin Soo-ho has to go in, and as a way of subterfuge to get in near the hostage taker, he is going to help one of the hostages who's having a heart attack. Maggie Chung poses as a nurse by knocking out the police officer who's supposed to go in with him undercover. And that's the way of introducing Maggie Chung to the story. So they get out of that situation with a bunch of gunfights and kung fu. And then it's revealed that Chin Soo Ho has a blood curse. So he goes to his buddy, Chow Yun Fat, and says, "Hey man, I think I have a blood curse." And Chow Yun Fat says, "What would make you think that?" And then there's this whole long flashback of him going and fighting with this tribe and getting a curse put on him. It's all crazy and awesome and wacky, and everything has a purpose. It's not just random. Like, everything has a little bit of a backstory. It all fits together, and it's crazy and chaotic, but it's all there. It all works together. And like The Cat and The Ghost Snatchers, there's awesome practical special effects with puppetry and skeletons and wire work. Tons of blood, crazy gore. This movie really does have it all. There are only so many Lam Nai Choi movies left for me to watch. Which one should I check out next? And that's going to do it for this one. I really appreciate you watching to the end. If you like these short movie reviews, there's a whole playlist of them on my channel. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next one.